Hi guys, and welcome back. Today is not a very good day. It's raining, and if you hear thunder throughout this video, we're getting a really nasty thunderstorm. I just figured this is like the first time in a long time that I've had a second to myself that I can make a video for you guys. Over the past few weeks, I've been missing again, and I keep saying that I want to make weekly videos, but I just don't know if that's ever going to happen again. I get busy and I get distracted very easily, so just bear with me and I will definitely get videos up when I can. I've had a ton of requests within the last couple weeks from you guys to do another family ghost story video. And I want to do that, and I do have a couple more family ghost stories, but before I do that, I actually want to give you guys a story of something that's been happening to me in this very house here within the last couple of weeks. It seems like ever since I have been talking more and more about paranormal activity and ghosts, the more I talk about it, the more things actually happen personally to me in my house. And it took me a while. I mean, the thing I'm actually going to tell you guys about today has happened before the last video I posted, but I thought to myself, I'm not going to talk about that because I really don't know what happened and I really don't know what it was. I believe inside that if you talk about certain paranormal activities and ghost, if you will, that the activity will continue, and I think that they like attention, and if you note that they're there and you talk about it, it will continue on and on and on. So I was like, maybe I'm not going to talk about this, but why not? You guys deserve to know what's going on, and I don't think it's necessarily malicious as of right now, so I've never minded sharing my home with a spirit as long as it is a good spirit. Now, I know I've mentioned to you guys before on here that I've had strange things go on in the house, voices, just weird sound. I've seen a spirit or entity or whatever walk in my vision path, and I thought it was my husband. I would follow it, talk to it, and it wouldn't be him. He'd be in the other room, and I'd be like, oh. In the last couple months, it just seems like poop has really hit the fan as far as ghost goes in this house. And it climaxed about 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago when I actually encountered a spirit, and it was just a completely weird and odd thing. Nothing that I've ever seen before in my life. I still have no idea what it is, but I'll tell you guys now, sort of leading up to it, and then I'll tell you what I saw. Now, most notable activity which has been going on that really sparks my attention to say, hey, something's different around here lately is usually when my son is here and he's sleeping over. And when I say that, I'll just give you two examples that I really stood out in my head. I put him to bed every night and I always read him a story. I've been reading him Grimm's fairy tales, which are, I think, really good stories to read your kids if they can handle them. He's older, he's 10, and it's actually funny because he's always like, why are stepmothers always bad? He asked me that and I'm like, because just remember that, you ever get a stepmother, she's evil. So I'll put him to bed, and after he goes to sleep, usually my husband and I will get ready for bed. We'll take our showers and brush our teeth and whatever else, and then we'll go to bed. So the first time I got him off to bed, and while I was getting him off to bed, my husband was in the shower. So when he got out of the shower and Andrew was already in bed and going to sleep, I went into the shower, and then when I was out of the shower, I was standing there at the sink brushing my teeth. So I heard at the door, rattle, 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 handle at the bathroom door. And I'm thinking, well, maybe Andrew needed to go to the bathroom. So my bathroom door, I have a tiny little closet bathroom in this house. So it's like 2 feet from the sink, and I could just reach and open it from the sink. I reach over and open the door, no one's there. So I'm like, okay, first thing I'm thinking is, he got out of bed and he decided I'm not going to push the issue if she's in there, and he went back to bed, and I'm like, okay. So I close the door again and I go back and brush my teeth and rattle, rattle, rattle again. So this time I'm like, alright, either it's Andrew and he really needs to go to the bathroom, or my husband's being a dick. Alright, so I open the door again, nobody's there. So this time I've come to the conclusion that my husband's being a dick. I finish up, I leave the door open, I finish up, and I go out. The first thing I do is I head out, I go down the hallway into my son's room, and I'm like, Andrew, are you awake? And he's like, yeah, why? And I said, well, did you just try to go into the bathroom? Because I'm done if you need to go in there. He's like, no, I didn't leave my room. Why? And he kept saying why, like he knew something was up. So I'm like, well, just because I thought you needed to use the bathroom. Someone was trying to get in the door. It must have been Justin. Go to sleep. So he's like, okay, good night, love you. And I go in my room and I'm like, well, why were you trying to get in the door to Justin? He's like, I didn't leave the room. So rationally, I'm thinking to myself, absolutely, if any of them left the room, I would have heard them walk out of the rooms, because my house is so small and everything is in such a close proximity that you just hear everything that's going on around you. Okay, so the next time something like this happens is we get Andrew off to bed. It's another night. I took a shower first this time, and I'm done with my shower, and I'm actually in bed and I'm reading one of my Anne of Green Gables novels, and Justin's in the shower this time. And again, because everything's in close proximity, you hear everything that's going on in there. So he's in the shower, you hear him moving around, and you hear the water. So I'm in bed and I'm reading, and all of a sudden I hear from my son's room, which is right next door to my room, din, 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 which is little footsteps running down the hall into the living room, and then din, 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 back into Andrew's room. So I'm thinking, what's he doing out of bed? Did he forget something, or is he getting something? Maybe he just ran into the living room to get something. I'm not going to push the issue, and I just ignore it. So I'm reading the book, and again I hear it. And this time I'm like, okay. He's usually really good about going to sleep, but sometimes he's actually told me he's been in the computer room all night watching episodes of SpongeBob on YouTube. The entire night he's been up. So I get up and I go in his room and I'm like, Andrew, are you awake? And he's like, yes, why? And I'm like, because I just heard you get up. Did you get up? No. Why? And he's like, again, he's insistent, like, why? And I'm like, because I thought I heard you get up. Do you need to go to the bathroom? Because I know Justin's in there. If you need to go, I'll, tell him to let you in. No. Why? And it's like, when he tells me this, it's like he's very insistent that he wants me to say something, like he kind of heard something, but he doesn't want to say it himself. Okay, so I'm not going to push the issue with him. He's 10. My son has Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism, so I'm not going to torture him with this ghost business. So I leave it as it is, and I'm like, well, I must have been hearing Justin in the shower. I told Andrew, and I left the room. So I go back into my room, and I wait for Justin to get out. When Justin gets out of the shower, I tell him, something little is in the house because I just heard it running, and I was talking about it, and as I'm talking about it, it dawned on me that if my son was running out of his room and running back and forth, the sounds that I was hearing running back and forth in the hall was kind of like a smaller child, because my son is 10, but he's a big kid. He's like 5'1" tall, and he's bigger, he's a heavier kid. He's not a tiny kid. He's big for his age. So after that incident, over the next couple nights, weird things happen when I'm in bed. I'll wake up a few minutes after I've fallen asleep and I hear my own bedroom door rattling, and I'm like, no, please don't do that. There was an incident when I got up to go to the bathroom, and then I went back to bed and I just felt not right. I don't know if you guys know how that feels, but you just feel like something's up, there's something in the air. And as I'm laying in bed, I hear outside in the hall, and I'm not even joking when I say this, a laughing. And it was like a man laughing. It was like, and that was it. I was just like this, Pardon my mouth. I know I curse a lot in here, but that was like one of the most scary things I've ever heard. Weird things started happening that my husband started experiencing also, and those are weird smells. Now, I know that sometimes when you live in an old place, when it rains, you can get the smells from the walls, and I know that from like a Ghost Adventurers episode or something that I watched. But it will be a dry day, no humidity, and all of a sudden we'll start smelling smoke, cigarette smoke, and nobody smokes in my house, nobody smokes around my house, and it's like in one room, and we both smell it, and then it just dissipates out of nowhere, comes and goes out of nowhere. Also, in our dog room, we call it, it's actually the sunroom, which leads outside, but that's where our dogs are. They stay in that room overnight. It's their own bedroom. We, for like I think it's 2 or 3 Sundays in a row, at a certain time, it was about 5 o'clock when I was making dinner, my husband would go out there and he would call me out there because he would be smelling the weirdest smell. The first time I went out there, he's like, "What do you smell?" And it was the most concentrated smell of beer that I've ever smelled in my life. And I'm like, it smells like someone took a kegger and spilled it on the floor. Except we don't drink, we don't have beer in our house, we don't have wine in our house, we don't have anything in our house because we are like social drinkers, or at least I am, and he doesn't drink at all. We go in the house, 15 minutes later he went back out there and the smell was completely gone. Another time he went out there and it smelled just like the worst rotting stench you would ever smell. And in that case, I actually made him go and tear everything apart in the room to make sure something didn't die in there, like a mouse or something. He left the room, we, closed the door back up, went back out there. About 15 minutes later, the smell was completely gone. We have no explanation for why that was happening. Okay, now I'll get to what I saw. And it's a very weird story, so bear with me, but about 3 weeks ago, I think it was, I'll say, I'm not certain when it really happened, what time it was, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, but it was a day a lot like today where it was drizzly and rainy all day and I felt like crap. It wasn't just like injury crap, it was, I had a cold thing going on, allergies or whatever. And I remember I went out to get the mail even though it was raining, and I don't usually do stuff like that, but I was waiting for something to come. So I went and checked the mail, and I came back in the house and I was coughing. So I was like, I'm gonna go get a cup of tea because I don't feel good and a cup of tea sounds good. I grabbed my coffee cup off the table where I was sitting to cross stitch, and I was going to take it into the kitchen. In order to go into the kitchen, I have to walk through the living room, through the dining room, and then turn to go into the kitchen, turn to the right. While I'm walking through the living room, I actually have to pass the hallway, and if you look right down the hallway, you'll see directly is my son's room, and to the right of that is my bedroom. You'll see my bedroom door, and to the direct right is the bathroom. You can't see the bathroom door from the hallway though. And to the extreme left is this room that I'm in now, but you can't really see that from the hallway. You can kind of see it, but not really, you don't have like eyes that are to the side of your head. I hope I'm explaining that well. It's important to know where these places are though, so hopefully you guys got that. So I grabbed the cup and I started walking through the living room. So I walk through the living room and I walk through the dining room and I turn and I get to the kitchen and I stop at the kitchen sink to put the cup in. And I look up and I say, what the hell did I just see standing by my bedroom door? Now it was weird because I walked through the living room, I kind of looked down the hall, I saw something standing by my bedroom door, but for some reason it didn't register in my head that there was a freaking entity standing by my bedroom door, so I just continued on my path because I really wanted my tea or some shit that day. I'm insane. So I'm paralyzed right now by the kitchen sink thinking, what the hell? And I'm processing in my mind what I saw. Now if you look down that hall, it's completely dark because the only windows, all these doors are closed, okay? And the only windows that would be shining light is this window that's behind me. And it was drizzly rainy all that day, so it was completely dark down the hall. But what I saw was a small being, I'll call it, because I don't know if it's a spirit or what else, okay? But I saw a small being. When I say small, I mean it was short, so I'm going to estimate it was like 5 feet tall. I know that's not short for some people, but it was short for me. And it was emitting a light, okay? It was glowing so much that it lit up the hallway. And from what I can remember is that it was wrapped in white cloth. Not like a mummy, it wasn't wrapped tight, but it kind of had like white cloth draped around it. Its head was covered with white cloth. So that was very weird that day I saw that, and I was very afraid to leave the kitchen in case it was somewhere else. And when I got up the balls to go back down in the living room and look, there was nothing there. The hallway was dark and everything was normal. And since then, there's just little things here or there, strange smells again, normally just weird smells, like almost like maybe a perfumey smell that's not us. Sometimes the smoke smell comes back, but I have not seen that thing since, and I'm very curious as to what that was. I suppose it could have been a spirit of a person who once lived, but to me, the things that I have seen, they look like us. And for some reason that just did not strike me as being a spirit of somebody who once lived. And that's what's going on in my house. So if you have an opinion as to what I did see, please comment and let me know what you think. And thank you so much for watching. And if you have a suggestion for a video you'd like to see from me, please let me know. It will help me out so much. And thank you for watching. Bye!